Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, the show brought to you by SpreadX, Sporting Index and oddschecker as we look ahead to the weekend's football and see if we think the results of the spread betting markets will be higher or lower down the midpoint. I'm your host, George Ellick, delighted to be joined by Dan Worth.
Hey.
And Jack Wright.
Hello.
Jack, I went to Norwich this week.
How did you get on? Did you like it?
Great city.
A fine city.
Great pubs.
Yes.
Terrible game of football, but we scored a 95th minute equaliser. You weren't there, so that's fine.
I wasn't,
No. But everyone's like, why do I want Oxford? No one cares. We only do, because first game up.
Nice segue.
Friday night football. I am home alone. Going to be watching it, Sky Sports football on the sofa. I cannot wait. Oxford hosting Ipswich Town. Total goals is the market we're looking at here. 2.7 is the midpoint. 2.6 to sell, 2.8 to buy. So lower here is under 2.5 goals, and over is 3 or more. 3, 2, 1. So.
Yes.
I can see why, and I know what you guys are going to say.
I know what you're going to say.
Oxford are in poor form. Ipswich have an amazing array of talent. It's time that it's going to click and then it's going to put loads past someone. I'm not so sure. Firstly, Ipswich are really struggling to convert their very good attacking unit. Jaden Philogene, Jack Clark, both can't really play at the same time, which is a bit of a pain. George Hurst, into a well-oiled attacking machine. And they went to Hull in midweek, and they only won that game 2-0. They didn't have a shot in the first 35 minutes, which in itself is crazy, especially when you consider that Hull City under Sergei Yakirovich are the vibesiest team in the Championship, as was seen by my nap last week, which was a Goals Cube game which finished 3-2, involving Hull. With Oxford, I would say the perception of Oxford and the reality has been very different for most of this season, where the perception has been, because Gary Rowett is our manager, that we are a boring, turgid, defensive side. I wouldn't think that's the case. I would say that any Leicester fans that came to Oxford would disagree, any Coventry fans that came to Oxford would disagree, any Bristol City fans that saw them get beat by us would disagree. Millwall, to an extent, we scored 2 goals, we weren't great that day. But there has been a very obvious shift in the way that Gary Rowett is talking about Oxford now in his post-match interviews, a very obvious shift in how we're being set up in our last 2 games against Middlesbrough and against Norwich, which were both 1-1 draws, but not good games, not games of many chances. And I think here Oxford are going to probably play a back 5, 2 sitting in front of the 5, not really any pace up front, and just look to sit and soak and try when we can to try and pick a lot going forward, but just basically try and bring the goal down as low as possible and hope we can turn it into a 0-0 or a 1-0 and see if we can be the team to score that goal. The other thing to mention is that under Rowett, Oxford's record against the better teams in the league is very, very good. Like last season, when we needed wins, the 2 wins at the end of the season at home came against Sunderland, who ended up going up through the playoffs, and Sheffield United, who were the playoff finalists at the time. This season, as we said, already drawn at home with Coventry, the best team in the league, and probably should have won that game. Came very close to beating Leicester, beat Bristol City away from home. So it's games against this kind of opposition where maybe the teams do come at us a bit, where we're able to kind of use our attacking threat. So I don't think I would be obviously upset, but I'd be a bit surprised if Ipswich run riot here. I think we'll be able to keep it pretty tight and the game might kind of fall into our lap a bit. And I think unders is the way to go. Jack, why am I wrong?
I think this comes down to if Ipswich specifically can get an early goal to bring Oxford out, because I think they will be a bit more pragmatic set up. They will look to try and keep it tight.
Well, as you saw in midweek, the opposition scoring doesn't necessarily mean we come out.
This is true. I generally also think Norwich did have a good few chances and should have scored more than they did. And I get what you're saying about Ipswich as well.
Yeah.
As far as they're not taking their chances, they're not firing on all cylinders, you do live in hope as an Ipswich fan that does come and click, and they're still scoring some goals. But I think that when you look at Ipswich, they've only kept 1 clean sheet on the road, so I think that does offer Oxford an opportunity to go and score. Only 1 clean sheet at home for Oxford, but those results did catch my eye as far as there's 3-2 draws in there this season, Millwall, Leicester and Coventry, and then there was that 3-0 defeat to Stoke as well. So there are goals around Oxford games. I feel they can score against Ipswich. I think Ipswich will probably come out on top, which would take me to the three goal margin. I think there's more scope for this to go higher than there is lower, hence why I've gone higher.
Dan?
Yeah, very little to add. I'm sure you're expecting me to just have a negative Oxford approach. But it's actually sort of the opposite. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Ipswich will win here, but I think Oxford will
get on the score sheet.
Wow.
Puts me in quite good stead.
For 3 goals.
Lovely stuff. Right, on to Everton hosting Newcastle. What a result for Everton last time out. Making a mockery of me, going down to 10 men early on in that game Manchester United after Idrissa Gueye. What are we calling it? Like a finger slap?
Yeah.
I think the force may have been negligible there, but we're still given a red card. But still beat Manchester United 1-0 and did so pretty comfortably despite playing with 10 men for the majority of the game. Jordan Pickford making one, in particular, superb stop up against the Newcastle side, fresh off a disappointing 2-1 defeat against Marseille in the Champions League. Total goal minutes is the line here. Spreadex 129 to sell, 139 to buy. The producers put 124 as midpoint, but it's actually 134. Are we going higher or lower than the 134 total cumulative minutes of goals scored within the game? 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Well, I get an extra 10 minutes now as well, don't I?
It's a low line. Were you going to do that anyway for 124?
I would have, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is quite a low line.
1-4?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I hadn't actually considered at what point my answer would change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think this might be a low-scoring one, hence my paddle. Everton have only conceded 5 goals at home in the league this season. And Newcastle have only scored 3 goals away from home in the Premier League this season. They're both quite low. The last 3 between these two sides have been low scoring. And yeah, Everton showed just how good they are defensively against Manchester United. Now, don't get me wrong, I think United could have probably posed a little bit more threat with the right sort of tactical mastermind behind it all, but there we go, that's another story. Pickford, what a game for him. England's best keeper, right?
Let's not go into that now. certainly England's best currently active keeper, no question.
Yeah.
What a player.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I really, really like
I look forward to seeing him in the flesh when I go to America for the World Cup next summer.
I'm going to say me too and manifest that I'm there as well.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, both of these sides towards the bottom for goals scored this season, and both quite astute at the back, so low scorer for me. 134, it's been boosted 10 minutes, which is lovely news.
You're getting a boost.
I'm giving myself a bet boost.
It's never a good sign. Jack?
Yeah, I think it's hard to get a read on Everton going forward after that Monday night performance. They did what they needed to do, but they do carry a threat, of course. Grealish and Kieran Hall as well, I thought was superb for what they needed to do. They do lack a goal scorer, obviously, but they do have enough around them to create problems and score goals. And I think Newcastle's absolute necessity to go and chase this game and get a positive result away from home does lend itself to the fact that Everton can sit a little bit deeper and look to counter-attack. And that arguably is their better way of playing. So you look at Newcastle's away performances, no wins from 6 in the league, 3 straight defeats. And those 3 straight defeats have all resulted in high goal minutes, 201, 174, 251. 3 of those goals come after the 80th minute, or all 3 of the games after the 80th minute.
I like that.
And Everton strong at home. And they've also seen late goals in their last 3 as well, 126, 153 and 203 their goal minutes. We don't necessarily need a lot of goals here. We just need them at the right time. And I think this one could be quite tight, but feature at least 1 late goal.
Yeah, I'm basically just happy to take on the idea that Everton should be always like a low-scoring team. Like this is a low line, and that's because it's Everton, that's because it's Moyes, and that's because generally they're a team that you expect to be low-scoring. But with Grealish in the team, with Dewsbury Hall in the team, with Njai in the team, who I think is pretty got a shout for being one of the players of the season so far in the Premier League in terms of not necessarily pure output, but in terms of the performances he's putting in consistently. Like they're such a good side, and with Moyes, you've got that kind of defensive structure behind them, but from an attacking perspective, they are certainly more of a threat, and their games, for the most part, haven't been that low scoring. You're not going to get very many that go crazy, but the 3-4 goals that you need here is certainly aren't out of the question. And we know with Newcastle, they're a team that are pretty expansive and do like to get the ball down and play. Their fatigue from midweek might have an impact here in terms of Everton being able to come on strong late in the game, especially if behind. So you're happy just to kind of short the idea that Everton equals low goals. Tottenham hosting Fulham now. What a weird week for Tottenham. Absolutely dispatched by Arsenal on Sunday afternoon in the North London derby, and then putting in a spirited display against PSG, but going down 5-3 in the Champions League. First match goal is the mark we're looking at here. Thomas Frank come under severe pressure as per the way that they're being set up at the moment. It was a long time ago that we used to sit here and talk about how under Postecoglou they used to start so fast. Well, they start fast here. So 35.5 is a midpoint. So if you're going lower, you think there'll be a goal in the first half an hour or so. Higher after the first, in 36 minutes or later for the first goal. 3, 2, 1.
Early.
Yeah, I basically think I watched the first I watched quite a lot of the game last night, the Spurs game. Might have bought goals. And they started the game so differently to how I thought they would. Like when the teams came out, it looked like it was going to be Spurs playing a back five, sitting incredibly deep and letting, in the way they basically have done against Chelsea and against Arsenal. And they didn't at all. Like they took the game to PSG. If anything, I think they completed more passes in the first 10, 15 minutes than PSG. They looked really sharp, they looked good in transition. And my assumption is that regardless of the team he selected, Thomas Frank has realised now that if he's going to win over the Tottenham fans, and basically if he's going to have any chance of staying Tottenham manager beyond, I'm going to say, the end of the year, then there's going to have to be a change in mentality because they cannot continue to basically adopt the role of underdog in these games in terms of the way that they're playing. We've seen at Brentford, like whilst a lot of Brentford's success in the Premier League came down to that really good defensive structure and sitting in deep, last season Brentford were actually quite an expansive team and did used to press man to man and look to attack where possible. And this, a home game against a woefully out of form Fulham, this has to be a game that he targets, because I think if Tottenham don't get a result here and don't play in the way that Spurs fans want them to play, I think the pressure on Frank goes from being like, oh, is there a bit of pressure to he could get sacked imminently. And therefore I think, and it may not go the right way, like it may open the door for Fulham themselves to take the lead, but I'd be amazed if we don't see Tottenham come out here and spring straight away. And therefore, in what is quite a high line, I would say, like this is higher than what we're used to seeing for the first goal. I think there could be a goal early. Dan, why am I wrong?
Well, you're definitely not wrong that this is a high line because the Premier League average is 30 minutes this season.
I've got 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, that alone backs your corner. And to be honest, when I saw this line, I was like, well, this is really obvious. This is a lower. But then I looked at the averages of both teams. Average time of Spurs' first goal scored in the Premier League this season is 53rd minute. And average time of Fulham's first goal scored is 57th minute. So both of those averages way above the midpoint here. No team have scored fewer first half goals than Fulham this season, which, I mean, I wasn't surprised to see, but that feels relevant. And yeah, this match over the last few years has been higher than this. 78th minute was the opening goal last time these two sides met. 54, 42, 36, 46 in the Premier League. So all pretty comfortably by the 36 above this line. So yeah, taking a punt on higher.
Jack?
Yeah, much the same really. I think it's just the fact that Spurs' performances in the Premier League certainly have been turgid. Was that 0.07 XG against Arsenal, beating the previous lowest XG this season, which was Spurs again when they played Chelsea at home. Scored with their first shot against Arsenal, which came in the 55th minute. And I think they've now posted 2 of the 3 lowest XG performances in the Premier League since records began. So not a good look for Thomas Frank. So I get what your point is, that he'll look to try and rectify that to some degree. I think Fulham will play on the fact that if they can keep this tight, the crowd will get very edgy, very nervous and turn on the side, and it'll make things easier for Fulham, who lack a cutting edge in my opinion. They created lots against Sunderland, but struggle to convert chances as they generally have done, relying on Jimenez at the moment. So I think that this will be a slow burner and, yeah, higher for me.
Cool. So we've got 3 more games to cover before we get to our naps. Goals cubed now with Sporting Index is 54 to sell, 58 to buy. Producers had a nightmare here as well, put 54 as a midpoint. 56 as a midpoint. This is Crystal Palace against Manchester United. As we say, United fresh off that really disappointing display against Everton. Goals cubed is the amount of goals cubed within the game. So 0 is 0, 1 is 1, 2 is 8, 3 is 27, 4 is 64. So you need 4 goals or more in this game if we are going to go past the midpoint. Obviously then it goes 1, 2, 5, 2, 1, 6 and so on and so forth. Goals cubed, higher or lower. Palace against Manchester United, 3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Yeah, I was obviously horrified by United attacking this day against Everton.
Yeah.
It was interesting to note that Amorim came out afterwards and in his press conference said he didn't think it was a red card for Gay, which I agree with. But I basically think that was... Obviously, they shouldn't have conceded, and it was a great finish by Dewsbury Hall, although the keeper should have done better. But for Amorim's style of play, playing against 10 men is a nightmare. Because he needs games to be really end-to-end with loads of space, and as soon as Everton went 1-0 up, they were like, right, we're going to sit incredibly deep. you're going to go back to front really quickly, and we're just going to, Tarkowski and Keane are just going to boot it and head it all day. Like, we're absolutely fine with that. So I'm happy to kind of ignore that. And remember that United did have the highest XG in the whole league from an attacking standpoint. Still look pretty poor defensively. Palace are a side who we know that at home can score goals. Under Glasner, they're a relatively goalsy side. So, yeah, why not? It's not a prohibitively high line. Premier League games often have a tendency to go high. It's rare that you have a match day where you won't get a game that goes 5-6. And this, to me, looks like one that certainly could. Like, I'd be confident of United scoring. I'd be confident of United conceding. It looks like a proper BTTS game, and then who knows where it can go. So, happy to go higher here. Jack, you're going lower.
We're obviously recording this before Palace's game against Strasbourg.
And we'll learn a lot.
Evening. I'm thinking more offence, injuries, etc.
Right.
Could be some key players.
Yeah.
But looking at the key players for Palace in those forward areas at the minute, they are struggling a little bit at the moment. So you've got Mateta, who's only had one shot in each of his last 2 games. Neither of those were on target. And that's happened in 3 of his last 4 Premier League fixtures as well. Ismail Assar, no goal involvements in his last 5 in the Premier League. Also, they do have players that can supplement that around them. So I would expect Palace to win this, I think, at a pretty nice price. Based on what I've seen from Manchester United, especially away, where they're fairly inconsistent. They were atrocious on Monday night, but we can give them sort of an element of they just got themselves into a right muddle for that particular game. Cunha missing clearly takes away a lot of their threat, so team use will be interesting on this one. That would certainly lead me more towards your way of thinking. If he is available without him, I think that they've got a real struggle. Palace have bounced back really well from those back-to-back defeats. They've won 4 of their last 5, and they've kept 4 clean sheets in the process. And what they built their success on over the last 12, 18 months has been that defensive process. Those clean sheets, that's back in force now. So I think they can keep Man United quiet and then go and nick 1 or 2 goals themselves. So, for me, Palace's second best defence behind Arsenal in the Premier League. Only 9 goals conceded in 12. And a third of those goals come against Bournemouth in 1 game. 6 clean sheets. Again, only behind Arsenal, who have had 7 this season. That's the way I see this one going. So it's a lower for me.
Dan?
Very much the same. Absolutely nothing to add. You even got my stat in there at the end, so we may as well move on, I think.
Okay, cool. West Ham hosting Liverpool next up. Liverpool in crisis. Social media is going crazy this morning around rumours that Arne Slot could be relieved of his duties after a 4-1 home defeat against PSV. Like that?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, that's how Richard Key says it, so that's how I just want to say it. PSV. Right, so West Ham.
You've done a lot like mentored by Richard
Keysy.
Yeah.
Very, very similar arms.
Well, that's me, though.
Yeah. West Ham hosting Liverpool. Yeah, Nuno in charge of West Ham, and certainly improvement in their performances. An awkward one this for Liverpool. You have to think total goals is the market we're looking at here. 3.25 is the sell price. 3.45 is the buy price. 3.35 the midpoint. Let's
Yes.
index.
Well done.
Yes. Are we going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Goals, goals, goals.
Taking on everywhere.
You are.
Nah, this is one like Liverpool are involved, so it's always going to be over 3. West Ham, Nuno are going to be brilliant at frustrating what is an already misfiring attacking side. Like, who is informed from Liverpool's attacking players?
Yeah.
Like, Ekatite started the season well. He's gone for the boil. Salah's really struggled. Wirtz hasn't improved at all. Like, I think West Ham will be like, brilliant. Yeah, we'll get you to us. We're going to sit in really deep. We're going to really frustrate you. And we've got brilliant counter-attacking threat. So, yeah, I think this will be a game where I reckon West Ham will definitely get something out of it. And I think it'll be low scoring. Jack?
I just don't trust either side defensively, despite you. No. Definitely not.
Harsh.
No, I know. Who for? Which way?
Yeah, definitely West Ham.
Well, they're yet to keep a clean sheet under Nuno. So we know what we expect from them, and certainly their performances have improved, but it seems that it's been a case of him going, I'm not quite sure how to get this defence watertight. Let's go and attack games and score goals. As I say, 7 games in charge of West Ham now, no clean sheet so far. They conceded 2 or more in 5 of those games as well, but they have scored 8 goals themselves in the last 3, so that shows the reasons behind their picking up points and improvement. Only 1 clean sheet away from home for Liverpool, and that came at Burnley, which is no kind of big thing. And they conceded multiple goals in the last 4 on the road. and so they're just unravelled at the back at the moment. Look at Virgil van Dijk's in poor form to coincide with Salah's poor form as well. But next to him, Konaté just continues just to look lost and making mistakes. And there's a lot of movement around that back line. So I think West Ham can cause them problems and can score multiple goals in this game. But I also say don't trust that West Ham defence. I think Liverpool do have the firepower, although it hasn't really clicked properly yet this season for this to be a high-scoring affair.
Okay. Have I asked you?
You haven't, mate, but again, we can probably move on because
Okay.
I'm very much the same as Jack. Like, Liverpool need a reaction, really, and I'm sure Slot could definitely do with a reaction here, but they can't defend at all. At the moment, they've conceded 10 goals in their last 3 games in all competitions. They've already lost more games this season in the Premier League than they did in the entirety of last season. It's all just mental at Liverpool, and I think West Ham can get a result here. And I do think both teams to score, which is a very good foundation if you're going higher in this line. So, yeah, higher.
Interesting. Yeah, some talk that Noel Hunt could get the Liverpool job.
Yeah, it'd probably do a better job.
Okay. Chelsea, Arsenal next. These London derbies are coming thick and fast every weekend. Chelsea hosting Arsenal. Both of these teams obviously dispatching Tottenham already this season, but Arsenal still the favourites despite being away from home after their midweek win over Bayern Munich. Chelsea impressive, beating 10-man Barcelona as well, so both buoyant after midweek wins over European giants. Arsenal, the Favs, 0.35 midpoint with Sporting Index, 0.25 to sell, 0.45 to buy. So higher is an Arsenal win, lower Chelsea or draw. 3, 2, 1. Also, can I just say that the whole you guys laughed at me when I had Arsenal -1 last weekend.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping to get away with that.
You
Yeah, I did.
Should have been
I did.
-7.
But a lot has changed, right, since we last sat down with Arsenal. They're amazing.
But they were amazing before that.
Well, yeah, they were, but less so in my opinion. Yeah, Arsenal just very good. It's almost a bit boring now, but defensively they are incredible. Watched the Bayern game last night. They reduced them to very little, and obviously all the hype and build up is how many goals is Kane going to score? Like coming up against Arsenal, he's got a fantastic record. I don't think he had a shot.
Did not.
Which is wild. One of the best strikers in the world, not even able to have a shot, and without Gabriel as well, which we may or may not forget. So I just think Chelsea are really going to struggle in attack against Arsenal, as pretty much everyone we've seen go against Arsenal this season has done. Best defence in the league, etc., etc. But also looking pretty good going forward now, even with still massive question marks around who's going to be their lead striker, particularly with Gyökeres not fully fit. Marino even did a relatively good job last night, but Eze has found his feet very quickly at Arsenal. He's flying. Rice, I mean, he said himself, he's the best he's ever been. Saka, always good. Like the list goes on. This is really just a 5-minute segment of me glazing Arsenal, really. And don't get me wrong, and I'm sure you guys are going to get onto Chelsea have been all right too, but Arsenal just a different beast for me here. And yeah, the defensive strength leads me to think that they'll win.
Jack?
I think it's a really, really tough one to call. Any of the 3 outcomes would not surprise me in this one. So I've just sat on the fence really and said I'll take 2 of the results, please. Both sides in very good form. Chelsea were excellent against Barcelona prior to the red card, and then obviously after the red card could have been an even more convincing win. And Arsenal sensational against Bayern Munich, probably the best side in Europe at the moment, Arsenal. But Chelsea aren't far behind them, I don't think, on their day. And I think this is a good game for Chelsea, because I think if Chelsea were playing a Brentford or a Fulham, I think there's a chance that they might just lower their levels a little bit, but I think this will keep them honest and it will be very tight. And I also think Arsenal wouldn't very much mind taking a point from here and moving on and keeping Chelsea at arm's length in the title race. But we'll assume Chelsea are still in at this moment in time. So yeah, sitting on the fence with this one.
Yeah, I just think Chelsea at home are so strong defensively. They rarely concede at home. Barcelona were the latest team who scored loads of goals, albeit they were down to 10 men, but who couldn't really get near them. Chelsea are just a very good team, I think. And this is a big game for them to kind of show their title credentials and try and chase down Arsenal, because they are right there. Like all the talks about Man City being able to do it, but Chelsea are the ones at the moment who are kind of clinging on to the coattails. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they are able to get something out of this. And I think probably for Arteta, it's a case of, as we've seen with him do before in big games, like just go there, don't lose, get home. Right, nap of the week. Dan, what's your best bet of the weekend?
I'm sticking in that game.
Okay.
I'm going for a market that I've never suggested before,
Right.
and it is booking supremacy.
Wow.
Chelsea over Arsenal, midpoint at 0.5. Now, this is booking point supremacy, so 10 for a yellow, 25 for a red. So if Chelsea are receiving the most cards here, this could be quite a big win, or loss, obviously, if they don't. Anthony Taylor is the referee, who, lots of Chelsea fans love, I believe.
Is Taylor the referee for this?
Yeah, he is indeed.
That is interesting.
It's very interesting.
Not for the reason that you're saying, I don't think.
Oh, right, okay.
Is there a way that I can... No, carry on.
No problem. He's given Chelsea the second highest amount of yellow cards of any team in his refereeing career. Some may say vendetta, not me. I can stay impartial on those things. Arsenal, no team have had fewer bookings than the Gunners in the Premier League this season. And in fact, Chelsea have twice as many yellow cards in the Premier League this season than Arsenal. Also mixed into it is that there was a period of time where Chelsea were having a man sent off every week. Probably unsustainable. Not suggesting it happens here, but if it does, that would be lovely for this market. So, yeah, Chelsea to have more cards than Arsenal, basically.
Good stuff. Yeah, there'll be no cards in that game. Jack?
0-0, no cards?
Just no cards. Ooh, 0-0 as well, baby. Yeah, there'll be no cards. That's going to be 0, the supremacy.
I can take a bet on that if you like.
Yeah, talk.
See you after.
Yeah.
See you after.
Right. Okay, Manchester City leads for me. I'm going for the time of Manchester City goal, or first Manchester City goal. The midpoint is 35.5. I am going lower than that. Manchester City scored a first half goal in 8 of their 12 Premier League games this season, 4 of their 6 home games as well. Rotated pretty much the entire side, controversially, some would say, against Leverkusen. So expect the big guns back for this one. Of those 4 first half goals in those 6 home games so far this season, they have all come lower than this line. 29, 17, 12, 18, those ones. 37.33 is their average this season, but that did include a blank on the first home game of the season against the Spurs. 12 minutes against Burnley this season in a comparative game. When you look at last season's against the newly promoted sides, they scored after 2 minutes against Leicester, 5 minutes against Southampton and 12 minutes against Ipswich. Prior to that, it was 2 minutes against Luton, 16 against Burnley and 14 against Sheffield United against the newly promoted sides the season before. And Leeds have been conceding really early. They look a little bit shot defensively. Their goals conceded away from home this season, 15, 11, 18, 8, 90 was Fulham and 34, average of 29.33. 5 of those 6 games have gone lower than the line here. Expect a fast, explosive start from Manchester City. Put this game to bed early doors.
Good stuff. I'm looking at Leicester against Sheffield United, where I am kind of trying to find a way to get with Sheffield United. I think Leicester are looking really poor at the moment. Blades massively improving since coming in, since Chris Wilder's returned. And I'm kind of toying between either Sheffield United total goal minutes at 63 is the buy price, so I mean the midpoint's I think 59, or headed goal minutes at 10. I think I'm going to have headed goal minutes because they're a massive threat from set pieces. They were last season. The addition of Tanganga has massively improved them from set pieces as well. He should have scored a header yesterday, but it was saved on the line by Terry Devlin, who was then sent off because he's not a goalkeeper. And the arrival of Patrick Bamford, who's a bit of a threat in the air too. They've got a few attacking players who are very good from those situations up against a Leicester team who they have conceded 6.6 expected goals this season from set pieces, but only conceded 3. So they are due to concede from set pieces. Conceded loads of shots from them, 72 so far this season. So I think Blades could well punish them from those situations. And I think generally Leicester are just too short for the game. There we have it. That brings this week's episode of Higher or Lower to a close. Thank you very much to Jack and to Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
If you haven't already got a SpreadX or SportingX account, click on the link in the show description. You can sign up there. There is a new customer offer. Read up on the T's and C's. And remember that losses can exceed your initial deposit when it comes to spread betting. Oddschecker have you covered for your fixed odds betting needs. And WhoScored.com have all the stats to inform your football selections. Enjoy the weekend's football. We'll see you again next week. Please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.